Wanted to shoot this quick video for the Bitcoin Cash community to introduce the grants that we are going to be doing through the Permissionless Software Foundation and how people in the Bitcoin Cash community can participate. We are going to have an airdrop on July 15th. So it's currently July 11th as I record this, so that's in 4 days. Anybody who is holding a PSF token on July 15th, so buy them by July 14th if you want to be safe, will receive an airdropped token called the Fund 001 token, because it's our first funding token. And members of the Bitcoin Cash community can use this token to fund the grants that the Permissionless Software Foundation is going to oversee. And by doing that, it allows the Bitcoin Cash community to instruct us what we should focus on first and who we should focus on first. So let me explain that. I'm going to go through this page and walk through all the grants. We have 3 categories: people, projects, and bounties. Or I'll start with the bounties. They're essentially like smaller, self-contained projects, and then the projects are more longer running that will take over a 3-month period or maybe even longer. And then the people are like specific people associated with the Permissionless Software Foundation or the Bitcoin Cash space that are doing really important work. Some of that's management and some of that is development work. So I'll go over all of this, but the important takeaway before I go any further that you need to understand is that in order to participate, this is part of our governance structure, and in order for you to participate in it, you need to be holding PSF tokens on the 15th. Then you will receive an airdrop token called the Fund token, and then you can send that token to one of the Simple Ledger addresses on this page that I'm going to show in order to fund those grants. And because this is the first time we're doing this, normally you would be required to hold the PSF tokens for 2 months to be eligible for the airdrop, but because this is the first time, we've removed that requirement. So you can just go buy a PSF token right now, get the airdrop, participate in the governance, and then sell the PSF token back to the token liquidity app. I'll show you how to do that. And so you don't actually need to hold the PSF token. We're really just trying to encourage participation for this first round. And then if you like it and you want to continue to participate in our community, what you need to do is hold the PSF token. And in 3 months, we'll do this whole airdrop funding thing again. But at that time, going forward, the only people who will be eligible for the airdrop will be people who have held their tokens without moving them for 2 months. They're essentially staking them. But again, for this first round, that requirement's not made. You can buy a PSF token now, get the airdrop, participate, sell the token on the 16th if you want, and get your BCH back. And so in order to get the PSF token, you need to buy it at psfoundation.cash. Oh, sorry, that's the business plan. psfoundation.cash is the website. And currently the coin has a market price of about 8 cents. And the way you get the PSF token is you send Bitcoin Cash to this address, and you will receive your PSF tokens within 2 block confirmations. And then if you want to get your Bitcoin Cash back, you simply send the PSF tokens to this address, and you'll get Bitcoin Cash after two block confirmations. These are subject to market prices, so you might not get the same amount. You might get more, you might get less. So just be forewarned. That's part of the process that you're signing up for if you buy the PSF token. Okay, so let me go through the grants. This is really what I wanted to cover in the video. So let me start with the bounties, because they're sort of these smaller, self-contained things that can be done by any developer. This is a chance for us to bring more developers into the Bitcoin Cash space, give them something to do, pay them some PSF tokens, which they can then turn into Bitcoin Cash so they can earn their Bitcoin Cash. So I expect this to be really popular with developers in repressed economies like Argentina and Venezuela and possibly Brazil. and so it'll be a great way for the community to get Bitcoin Cash to people who need it, and get something out of it. So the first bounty is the Ninsight library. So one of the most popular resources for developers in the Bitcoin Cash space is rest.bitcoin.com. And they have this service called Ninsight, which is what provides address balances and UTXO information, which is a core piece of information that you need in order to build a wallet application, or really do any sort of business-oriented thing on Bitcoin Cash. And so this bounty is to add functionality into the Permissionless Software Foundation and fullstack.cash. All of our work focuses on this BCHJS library, and this Ninsight or this bounty would add capabilities to it that would let it interface with rest.bitcoin.com. This would make the library free for developers, so they wouldn't have to pay any services. So it would be a huge value add for developers, and would help spur development of Bitcoin Cash applications. Similarly, this bounty would add extended Electrum X functionality to the BCHJS library. Electrum X is the network that runs the Electron Cash wallet, which is one of the most popular wallets in the space. It's certainly the most functional wallet in terms of features. And so that network that runs that wallet is called Electrum X, and we already have the capability to tap into it with the BCHJS library. So this bounty would really just be concerned with expanding the features, and this is another free service that developers can leverage so that they can build apps and that they don't have to pay for in order to use. So it's a win for everybody in the space. This bounty is to create an end-to-end test for SLP tokens. We need better test coverage, and this would let us just ensure that everything's running correctly and that SLP tokens are functioning correctly. There's a lot of overhead and infrastructure and maintenance that goes on, and so that's what this bounty's for. This is a bounty that I'm really excited for, is researching SLP second layers. So I've been researching with some of the cutting edge people in the Simple Ledger protocol space, and we've been theorizing that it would be possible to point a token at mutable data, so data that can change over time. And that's really important for unlocking things like in a video game. You could have a character who's represented by an NFT token, a non-fungible token, but then that character, as you play, is going to change over time. His stats are going to change. And so you need to be able to capture that changing data and attach it to the token that represents the character. And so this research would enable that. It could also enable things like security tokens that have very strict rules and don't really work well with the current implementation of SLP tokens. This would open the door to doing more things like security tokens and creating a token that is more applicable to US-based businesses. Also, SLP CLI wallet is a command line wallet. It's similar in functionality to Electron Cash, except it doesn't have a graphical user interface. And it's really a useful tool for developers to rapidly prototype new ideas. The wallet, though, has fallen behind a bit. It needs to be updated with some of the new changes to the BCHJS library, particularly around SLP tokens and non-fungible tokens. So this bounty is basically just to update this tool for developers. Okay, so those are the small sort of bite-sized bounties. Now let me talk about the projects. These are going to be longer running projects that they might last for 3 months or they might last longer. The first one is to set up free infrastructure. Currently, fullstack.cash is a subscription service, and what it does is it sets up managed infrastructure for businesses because they need more reliable service when they're running their business. But what we don't have currently is a free tier like rest.bitcoin.com offers. So this bounty would go to pay for a free tier, and this would help us onboard new developers into the space, like Ethereum developers. The fees are getting really high, so a lot of Ethereum developers are looking at Bitcoin Cash. We need to be able to provide them like a sandbox and as many free services as possible for them to play, and then offer them a route to paid services when they're ready to build a real business around their prototype. So this would pay for the free infrastructure to help us grow the developer community. This is another project I'm very excited about, collaborative CoinJoin. So for those who who know what Cash Shuffle and Cash Fusion is, this speaks directly to that. Cash Shuffle and Cash Fusion are on-chain protocols that allow Bitcoin Cash to be re-anonymized. So make it anonymous like cash is anonymous. So physical cash is very anonymous. You don't really know where it comes from, and that's a desirable trait that we want to have in Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin by default is pseudo-anonymous. It's actually quite easy to track you, and it could be a bad surveillance tool. And we want to be able to make it anonymous like cash. And so Cash Shuffle and Cash Fusion are two protocols that exist today and are pretty good, but they both suffer from this dust problem. And Vin Armani recently created a new protocol called the Swap protocol, and it's an on-chain protocol that lets people collaborate and do these collaborative transactions, and that's precisely what's needed for a CoinJoin. Cash Shuffle and Cash Fusion are both types of CoinJoin transactions. And so this swap protocol that Vin developed, he's focused mostly on betting and oracles and SLP token trading. But another thing that this protocol could be applied for is creating a CoinJoin transaction. And it would be a big improvement over both Cash Shuffle and Cash Fusion, because there would not need to be any server involved. It would be totally peer-to-peer. Everything could still be end-to-end encrypted. And it could also, a lot of the communication could take place either on-chain or off-chain. So in my mind, this is a much better approach to creating a trustless CoinJoin transaction. And so this bounty would go to research that. Torlist is a website that we're going to build. It's essentially a search engine that would let users make it easier for users to find dark web websites, so Tor websites and websites that are hosted on IPFS. It would also include ClearNet websites, but essentially what it'll do is people can take PSF tokens and stake them, and that will determine their ranking in the search engine in a specific category. And the problem this solves is Tor websites, they have a .onion address at the end, and IPFS websites are these hashes that are constantly changing every time they update. Having a curated list like this would make it much easier for end users to find darknet markets and any other type of gray market or any other type of information that, say, a state actor would want to censor. By putting them in this website, they can move around. They're free to move around and change their addresses, and the users can still easily find what they're looking for. And so that's what the Torlist project is going to do. Okay, so that's the projects. Finally, let me cover the people. So this is a combination of development and management. I am both going to be doing, I'm Chris Troutner. I've taken the title of head janitor. I'm going to be doing both management and development. And as we grow, I hope to hand off these management duties. But right now, we're still small and trying to grow the organization and the community. And so I will be overseeing most of the day-to-day operations, and I'm actively trying to find people in the space who are trustworthy, who want to help us and expand the management so that I can focus more on development. And the first person on that list is David Allen. For people who don't know him, he's been in the space since 2012. He's helped line up funding for organizations like Bitcoin ABC and others. And he's well versed in the organization, or in the network and in the Bitcoin space. He's a big proponent of Bitcoin Cash. He's agreed to come on in a business development capacity and be the primary contact for the Permissionless Software Foundation. And so I'm very grateful to have him. And so this bounty would pay for his services over the next 3 months. Let me wrap up the management by just talking about the grant administrator. This person's decided to stay anonymous, but they will be in charge of managing the spreadsheet and distributing the grant funds to the grant recipients. So these grants, a third of each grant will be distributed per month to the person or project, and they'll be in charge of doing that. Okay, so let me talk about some of the Rockstar Developers who are members of the Permissionless Software Foundation. Daniel Umberto is a Venezuelan developer, and I've been mentoring him for about a year, and his focus has really been on Bitcoin Cash, IPFS, and encrypted messaging. So what he's going to be doing over the next 3 months is working on an end-to-end encrypted messaging system that'll work over Bitcoin Cash and IPFS. It'll be one of the first plugins on our fullstack.cash wallet, which you can find at wallet.fullstack.cash. And it'll be very similar to email. You'll be able to do a message, attach a file of any size, and send it to someone's Bitcoin Cash address, and it will be end-to-end encrypted the whole way. And so that's essentially what we're trying to do is create email over the blockchain that's end-to-end encrypted by default. Andre Cabrera is another Rockstar developer that's helping us. He created mint.bitcoin.com, which was a result of he and his team won first place at the SLP Virtual Hackathon last year, and he's really focused right now on the SLP post office. This is also going to be one of the first add-ons for the web wallet at wallet.fullstack.cash. So for people who are unfamiliar with the post office idea, it's a way to send SLP tokens without Bitcoin Cash. The post office pays those minor fees, and what this unlocks is it's a much better user experience for both merchants and end users because they can just use tokens, and new users who aren't familiar with Bitcoin Cash or what it is or how it's different from the other cryptocurrencies, they can avoid all that confusion and just use the app and just use the token, and the merchant can pay those minor fees for them, and it significantly improves the user experience. It significantly reduces the friction to onboarding new businesses into the Bitcoin Cash space. So it's very important work. Finally, there's JT Freeman. People who aren't familiar with him, he runs Fountainhead.cash. He's also a member of the SLP Foundation. He's just continuously doing great work in the space. He's creating JavaScript libraries. He's onboarding new developers. He runs some of the most critical infrastructure in the space. And so he's not directly associated with the PSF, but he's doing such important work that we wanted to create a grant to thank him and help fund his important work in the space. Okay, so that wraps up all the grants. Again, the airdrop's going to be on the 15th, so make sure you buy your PSF tokens by the 14th, and there is no requirement for you to hold on to them. You can sell them on the 16th if you don't want to participate. Please consider holding on to them to continue participating in our community. And if you want to know more information about the Permissionless Software Foundation, go to psfoundation.cash, scroll down to the middle. There's the video and a business plan that you can read. And I really hope that you will join our community and be a part of our governance mechanism.